The way Elikus is found everywhere, and in everywhere his galus is because of this Inyan that he's not mispal and he's not mishtan. Godness never changes. Always the same. Now let's translate these words. What does hispoilus mean? Hispol means to react. That's what hispol means, react. Someone pushes you, you fall over, that's a hispoilus. Someone makes a joke and you laugh, that's a hispoilus. Someone does something you don't like and you scream at him, that's a hispoilus. Hispoilus means a reaction, a reagirung, an upklang, giving back. Elikus is not mispol. Elikuk doesn't give back. Like the famous Lashon, Kol no misnaneya, if you move something else, you have to be moving yourself. Elikus is the exception to the rule. He's a no and he's not minaneya. The Eibishter moves, he's not moving. The Eibishter affects everything in creation. Godliness comes everywhere, and according to this Maimir, the godliness that comes everywhere is creating. He creates, he himself creates, but he touches and he creates in the kind of way that he affects a change in us, but in him there's no change. Such his spirit doesn't react to us, doesn't react to us, and therefore there's no shinoi. And he explains, it's in contrast to the neshama and the guf. That what? Haneshama, and the neshama is elikus. And if you learn the right maimorim, you could even say that the neshama is higher than Eir. You could say that the neshama is higher than Ein Sof. But whatever the neshama is, it does respond to the happenings in the body. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a chassaron in the neshama. It could be a mile in the neshama. But that's how the Eibishter made the neshama. The Eibishter made the neshama, what happens in the body, the neshama feels. It reacts. So then, is a raya, you could be godly, you could be a very high level of godliness, and the Eibishter brings you into the world in the kind of way that you're affected by the world you're in. But mele aval ha'era laki. It's a chiddush. That even though if the Eibishter wanted it would be different, the way the Eibishter made it is that divine light, it's mechaya, it gives life, umahava, and it gives creation. Now if you're here last week, we talked about these two l'shenis, mechaya and mahava. The Rebbe brings now the Rebbe, al tikra mechaya el mahava. It's much easier to see that Hashem gives life to the world and to see that Hashem creates the world yesh me'ayim. So therefore you first say mechaya and you then say mahava, even though the ikar chiddush that is the creator. Because when you understand Mechaya, and Mechaya you could relate to, so after you see how Hashem gives you life, because you feel that you're alive, you can extrapolate backwards from his Chayis to Havoya. That's how the Rebbe teaches Al Tikri. The Pasuk says Vata Mechaya is called, because that's the obvious truth. Al Tikri, don't read Mechaya, what you could see on the outside of Mahavah, there's something deeper. That's a cloud that the Rebbe gives in Al Tikri. The Pasuk says the more obvious thing, Al Tikri Banoyech, Elaboy Noyech. In other words, you're not a makaba from the Eibishter, which is Banoyech, the Eibishter's children. Elaboy Noyech, you mashpir the Eibishter. So first you say the obvious, and then comes the unobvious. And al derech zeh, al tikra mechaya el mahave. So the pasuk uses both l'shenis. Al Rebbe says the oyer eliki is mechaya mahave, which means you're talking about godliness that gets involved in the creation. He's not that just hiding out. Godliness gets involved in the creation. How much so he gives chayas and havaya. In other words, it's mamish oyer pnimi, b'malek kol ha'almin. And nevertheless, because it's ein safe be'etzem, even the way it's in the Metzias of Malek Alman, we'll talk about it later more, it's not behispoilus and it's not behishtanas. Okay? So, avala oira laki, even though it's hamachaye umahave, it gives life and it gives creation, einim ispol, einim ishtanakal, doesn't react, and it's not changed by what it's involved with at all. Umah.